between Hindustani or Urdu. We know how it started. I don't want to go very deep into it, but I think that sort of sparked the interest of certain politicians about how powerful this issue can be. The in Tamil we call it Veeryam. I don't know what you say for that in English. So how powerful this language as a political tool can be. There was really, there has been a long process of Sanskrit, Tamil coexisting. And during this long process, Tamil has not disappeared. So what I always tell everybody who talks about this imposition and Tamil disappearing is that Tamil is not so weak that it will disappear just because another language is taught to you. So English, everybody is been educated in English now. Almost everybody in Tamil Nadu. Has Tamil disappeared? No. So Tamil is not such a weak language, but it started because of that initial Hindustani-Urdu debate about what to teach in school.
Another interesting influence that I find, and many people may not be aware of this, that very significant meeting that Bhartiyar had with the disciple of Swami Vivekananda, Sister Nivedita. And since then he started talking about emancipation of Shakti. He never used the word women's rights, he never used the word freedom, he never used the word feminism, and still his poetry his writings are all about, real empowerment of women.
These terms that we talk about, feminism, emancipation, these are all very Western ideas. Even we today don't have a very clear idea about what the exact role of women was in society, say 500 years ago, before the Delhi Sultanate came. What was the role of women in the society? What sort of rights they enjoyed? Because we don't have a very good tradition of keeping records about what we do. We are very poor at it. Indians as a whole are very poor at it. Shakti, I think it is a very interesting interpretation, probably a reinterpretation of the Western ideas that he did. To envision this entire thing, this entire spectrum of problems that we name as emancipation, feminism, so many things. I think he just condenses everything into this one Shakti so that people can easily understand. That was his thing, again and again, simplify everything.
There is another aspect. His association with Congress as a movement was very curious. In fact, he was part of that very critical session in Surat. And he decided to support the Tilak faction. So, do you see any prospect, any possibility of reviving that connect of Kashi, Arbindo, Tilak, and that spiritual nationalism that Subramaniam Bharati represented?
Even during the Surat session, the Congress was still in the form in which it was conceived initially. So we know the Congress was conceived so that things don't get out of hand for the British rulers. And it was composed mostly of the so-called moderates, who we call moderates right now, who basically didn't want any panga and they just wanted to talk things out with the British to get some of their work done, get some perks here and there. They didn't really have a great idea about freedom. Initially they didn't have it.
No, they essentially believed in the wisdom and the justice of British Raj.
Yes.
So they believed that, putting some petitions and demands to the British Raj will automatically lead to...
Yes.
And somehow it was a divine dispensation in their wisdom.
Yes.
So, but Surat session was complete departure from that tradition.
It was a departure because it was a disruption to their tradition, all their sessions so far. So that is when this Tilak comes out as a big character, and I think it is only natural Subramania Bharati went in that direction because he was a revolutionary kind of guy. He wanted to get things done now, get freedom today, if possible, this minute. So Tilak would have appealed to him much more than the so-called moderate faction.
One important aspect that I would like to, highlight is Subramaniam Bharati was a very important force in this entire movement against partition of Bengal. Though people generally talk only of Lal, Bal and Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. In Tamil Nadu, Vanga Bhanga and Vande Mataram got lot of traction, and I find it very surprising when I see lot of voices coming from Tamil Nadu, present day Tamil Nadu, that time Madras province, against the partition of Bengal. Now Bengal was partitioned, it was just a Bengali speaking province, partition on religious lines, entire nation gets together to fight against it and fight in such a way that British were forced to take back that partition in 1911. So 1905 to 1911, the kind of nationalism that we see in this land, why did we suddenly miss that in the post-independent period?
See, during that time, I would say, this touches on very sensitive topics which I don't want to talk about. Right. So at that time, I think we still had some sort of, mostly thanks to the works of Bharatiya, which made nationalism very catchy. Any division based on religion I think people had an idea that it will become permanent. They are planning this and this will become permanent. That sort of fear was there, and since we always envision Bharat as a much larger entity than what it is today, how do I put this? See, as a Sanatana Dharma, even if something is happening in Ladakh, or if you say tomorrow Ladakh is going to be taken away from you, from Bharat, you've never been to Ladakh, but you still feel very bad about it. Because that is part of your soul, that is part of your consciousness, right? But today I think what has happened is, a lot of people have moved away from their roots, especially with the very fast pace of urbanization. And once you move away from your roots, and what is influencing us today is not our ancient thoughts. It's, for a majority of people, that is not what is influencing their daily lives. We are very enamored by the West. We have that mentality where English is still superior. So these are the kind of cultural trends that have taken us away from that sort of thinking. That wo bhi hamara hai. That thinking is gone. Maybe they feel Kashmir should decide things on that.
Now I would like you to speak on a subject that has been close to the heart of each and every person of India, especially in southern India, that is close to your heart also. This entire debate about temples. Temples and yatras played very critical role in this nationalism and connectivity. If you see 1857, for instance, many people think, oh, nothing happened in South. It's not the case. In fact, I feel that right from 1498, the time Vasco da Gama arrived, since then South was continuously fighting. In fact, we find similar kind of actual freedom movement happening from 1780s to 1840s. In this part of the world, what started happening, because in the north, because perhaps that time settling the things with Islamic invasion was more important for north. So that's why you find Velu Nachiyar and Marutha Pandian brothers, and they're coming up with this Jambudvipa declaration. Then we realize that temples are critical. Then we realize that saving these temples are critical. How we can bring back that in our debate, in our media discourse, and what do you think that this essence of temples in saving this civilizational nation? What should be the approach?
So temples, the kshetra is important. How important it is the Puranas, from the time of the Puranas, they have extensive lists of kshetras of this Bharata Desha. So whatever is Sanatana Dharma country has been mapped out extensively in the Puranas, in a very detailed manner. So whoever may be ruling over the land, that is immaterial for us. Maybe today Pallava is ruling, tomorrow Chola is ruling, that is immaterial. But Divya Kshetra is there, and these Divya Kshetras have been mapped very nicely in the Puranas. So what we get is, again, one thread, which is Sanatana Dharma, and these are all temples. The Purana has a story for the temple, but they are not temples based on the same sort of substrate. For example, temples in the south are based on Agama Shastra. So Bengal, they are based on some Tantra Shastras. In Kerala, they are based on some other Tantra Shastras. So there's a huge diversity here. Despite these diversities, the Punya Kshetras are all listed with equal importance. Nobody says, the Purana doesn't say these people are from a different point of view, thought process, they have established this temple, so this is not relevant to us. From that, what we understand is, this Sanatana Dharma, it accepts everything. Every expression of itself it accepts. And we can see the proof of that is in the Puranas. So today, what has happened is, after the establishment of the HRNC or the Devaswam boards elsewhere, the same thing that has happened with our water management systems has happened to the temples as well. So we had a very beautiful water management system, especially in Tamil Nadu, where the areas, the tanks, the irrigation tanks would be managed by the community, the farmers themselves. They would be responsible for desilting it, they would be responsible for water sharing. Everything would be done at the community level, and these systems are functioning beautifully. These common goods, the public goods, were being utilized for the benefit of the community. Temples were also made as common goods, as public goods, for the benefit of the community. How the PWD broke down this entire system with irrigation, HRNC did the same. There is no doubt that HRNC has to be done away with. Number one, what it does is it locks away the resources of the Hindu community into the hands of somebody else. We are no more in control of our resources so that we can provide for our own community. Everybody thinks that if HRNC is done away with, what will happen? Who will take care of these temples now? Some profit-minded individuals may take over. They may exploit the temple's heritage. They may exploit the temple's popularity to make money. My view is quite controversial on that. I'm like, why not? Only if entrepreneurship is there, will there be people willing to invest their time and energy into it? Only if there is a possibility of profit. So, only if that happens, it can
Not
spread.
just that, temples were not just places of worship. Temples had a very flourishing economy around it. Temples had a healthcare system around it. Temples had education system around it. Temples had a banking system around
Yes,
it.
banking was very important.
Banking was very important. So, it's absolutely right. Why not? Give it back to community. See, Rabindranath Tagore, Gurudev, he is speaking in Bengal in somewhere in 1902-3. He is not just talking about water and temples. He is talking water, temple and yatras. He is talking about education. He is talking about healthcare. He is talking about even forest. And he is saying, he compiled that as a book called Swadeshi Samaj. And he is saying that society is truly independent. And you are absolutely right when you said, we never bothered who is ruling the state. State was a secondary for us. For us, society and what society is controlling was much more important.
True.
Unfortunately, this entire legal framework introduced by the British, especially post 1860, has taken away our forests, taken away our water resources, taken away our temple, because they considered them as one as property, other as religious institution. Not beyond that.
Not beyond that. They didn't understand, I think more so they did it because they perfectly understood how it made this society function. They wanted to make it dysfunctional and dependent on an external apparatus. The self-sufficient societies break them down so that they can become dependent on us, on our system.
Now, in the last part, I would like to bring back to the media discourse. Now, we have discussed Subramanian Bharati, we have discussed Sanatan ideas. I really find it very difficult. Like, for example, this whole idea of secularism. You know, somebody is standing hand in glove with Owaisi, oh, it's a secular alliance. Somebody is standing with Yogi, oh, it's a communal alliance. Means, where does this come from? And we in media openly, you know, mainstream these ideas. So, entire media discourse, essentially it starts in English, but eventually it comes down to our other Indian languages also in media platforms, and eventually they become the mainstream discourse of the society. Because I was asking somebody in some corner of Bihar, I remember when I started my journalistic thing in 1990s, it was I think 1999 election, and I was asking somebody about why you wouldn't vote for, he said, you know, I will vote for this and this person. I said, why? So, he, in a typical Bihari accent, he said that he is very secular. बहुत सेक्युलर है. अब बहुत सेक्युलर है, an illiterate person is saying, who is responsible for that? And the constitution did not accept that idea in terms of secularism, because we believe that, you know, respect for all ways of worship is a Sanatan idea. So we shouldn't have that word. And youngsters should, you know, especially dwell upon this. In 1949, when we accepted our constitution, there was no word called secularism. In fact, it was discussed and deliberately decided that we shouldn't have this word. In 1975, when emergency was, you know, proclaimed, an entire opposition was in jail, without any parliamentary discussion, it was inserted in the constitution. Just do one exercise and try to understand, even after having the background of partition, from 1949 to 1975, whether we were really secular or communal, and after inserting this word, whether we have become more communal or less secular. You know? So, but the point is, why media is so much guided by these foreign ideas, foreign concepts, how can we bring them back to the tradition of Tilak or Subramaniam Bharati or even Sri Aurobindo? There were many revolutionary journalists or Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya who inspired journalism for the social cause, for the national cause. How can we bring back that tradition in media? Or it is now gone forever?
I think one entire generation of journalists have to go if what you propose have to happen. It is very, very difficult to bring it back is what I feel. Why? I'll tell you why. Because people like us who have this sort of belief about what we are talking about rootedness and where our thought process should come from, and people of means like us are not spending on the right things, are not spending on creating materials, content, whether it be video, books, or newspapers. They are not spending enough on it. Once you start spending enough on it, probably in the next 20 to 30 years, this thing will shift completely.
Do you see any hope in digital platforms? Because there are many alternative platforms and alternative faces that are coming.
Yes, there are coming. See, there are shining examples like Swarajya. But I think it is still not enough. We still need about 20 to 30 times of what it is today. We need 100 more platforms like this. So there must be more money being spent on this. There has been enough money being spent on the other side already, the left side. The money not only from India, from abroad also has been spent. And see, that is the only way to do this. It may sound absurd, but that is the only way to do this.
We have recently seen media platforms coming out and participating in a conference called Cutting South. But we are if we have to take the legacy of Bharatiya forward, then it cannot be without the Sanatan idea of Bharata, and perhaps that is the biggest takeaway that we should take from this conversation. You wanted to add something?
No, sir.
So I believe that that is perhaps the idea behind having Chennai Lit Fest, dedicating it to the legacy of Subramaniam Bharatiya, and I hope that the younger generation takes inspiration from this conversation and raise right questions based on Sanatan ideas for contemporary solutions. And if couple of ideas can click with the initiative of some new kind of startups for managing temples, for new kind of startups for reviving temple ideas for contemporary times, then perhaps we will be taking that idea.
Yes, I think startups for temples is a good idea.
Yes. So it was just, thought because the next session is going to be on startups. So I thought, that would be a real culmination point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This is a good.
Thank you.
I request you to stay behind to take a few questions. Audience, the forum is open. You can ask questions. It was a beautiful session taking from the life of Mahakavi Subramania Bharati, his stay in Kashi and the impact of Kashi in his life, the meeting of Sister Nivedita and the impact of that meeting of Mahakavi Bharati, and his works on women emancipation. Anybody from the audience, if you're ready to ask any question, you may please raise your hands. We can bring the mic to you. While you still ponder about it, I'll continue to talk about what these two gentlemen. Please come forward, sir. Surendranji, are you there? Could someone help him with the mic?
Hello, my name is Shrikant. I would like to look at this Ayodhya temple which would be formalized by January, February or before the elections. Why can't Ayodhya temple itself be some kind of a pilot project for community? The way our entire temple ecosystem was run. I would agree with Mr. Ketkar kind of thing. I think what you had put is absolutely fact. Temples were far more than what typically we know. I mean, they were the center of local community, economy, systems, education, Gurukul, everything imaginable. So I think why can't Ayodhya temple? Okay, I do agree kind of a thing because I have been with ABVP, I have been on kind of a thing. What I'm trying to say is why can't Ayodhya be a role model? Okay, I think this can also give a very strong.
So the question is Ayodhya.
Yeah. So I'm saying this can also give a very strong political message to the left ecosystem. Thank you.
See, as far as this entire debate about temple management is concerned, I think we will have to see it from 2-3 different perspectives. There are many people who have worked consistently. What I have understood while discussing with many of the activists involved in Save Temple movement, that the situation in southern temples is quite different from what happened in the north. There the destruction even before British arrival and state taking over temples was much more. So Ayodhya in a way is becoming the model. In 2 ways. One, imagine court has handed over the land, but the state has not taken over it. State has created an independent trust to manage it. Center has appointed the trustees for the time being till the construction work is done. Most of them are coming from the movement itself. So most of the sadhus and sannyasis associated with the movement, except Nripin Mishra, there is no bureaucrat, even ex-bureaucrat is involved. So in a way, the idea is not to control by the state. 2, Ayodhya is not going to be just a temple. After visiting and seeing the entire plan, I am assuring you, it is going to be a great center of learning. It is going to be a great museum, civilizational museum to see. It is going to be a great amalgamation center for all the sects of India where everybody can study. There will be a beautiful library involved in it. So from mandapam to library, everything will be there, and hopefully this can eventually become a model for other places in north. But in south we will have to think it differently, because fortunately we still have those symbols of our civilization existing with same structure, community having same relations with those temples, families having same, so Grama Devatas, Kula Devatas, all of them are symbols of our civilization. So we will have to think in different ways while we are talking about giving it back to devotees. So I think these 2 different models that we will have to think about, it's going to be a great exercise, and that's why we need a different kind of startup ecosystem that I just tossed up the idea while managing those temples.
That's a brilliant idea, that startup for temples. Anybody else? Any other question? So you may have to come here. Can someone please take the mic, help this gentleman with the mic? He's on the right side aisle. From the dais, right side aisle, an elderly gentleman, so thank you so much for taking the mic.
My question is whether we can bring a constitutional amendment to drop the word secular, which was introduced in 1975. India is a secular country because majority of the people follow a religion which has got religions tolerance for all other religions. We are not secular because of our constitution. We are secular because of our ancient values. Why this word secular in the constitution? Can you not remove it by an amendment as we threw away Article 370? Thank you.
I think that was the thinking of our constitution makers also. But over the period of time, it has got, so much of sanctity, politically and intellectually, that we will have to fight it differently. See the irony. The irony is, in Indian civilization, the state was always secular. And anywhere in the world, a nation cannot be secular. But the people who declared their religion as the state religion are considered as secular. Akbar is secular. See the irony. Shivaji Maharaj, who said, no, my religion, for my religious purpose, state money cannot be used. He is considered as communal. So the problem is not just with the word itself, but the political connotation of that word. And that's why we will have to create a public awareness, not just about this one concept that I just touched upon, but there are many such concepts related to freedom, choice, feminism. We will have to give them a different kind of Indian meaning. Like, for example, you use the word tolerance. Now this is the most absurd word that we have been using. Have we been just a tolerant civilization? Do we just tolerate if we disagree with each other? Or as Swami Vivekananda said, we accept and respect all ways of worships. So our tradition is not just to tolerate, but to accept and respect. There can be your way of truth, there can be my way of truth, but there is still a belief that there is ultimate one truth. That is Indian civilization. So we need to take secularism discourse to this tradition of acceptance and respect for all, rather than this absurd European idea of tolerance and intolerance. Both are equally negative terms. It was coined because Protestants and Catholics were fighting with each other, and somebody told them that, oh, we need to tolerate each other till other accept your point of view. Ours is not that kind of civilization. We say, okay, you can have your point of view, we respect that, we will have Shastra. After that Shastra, we can reach to some conclusion, fine, otherwise you can walk your way, I can walk my way, both will respect it, both will not kill each other because of that disagreement. That is Indian point of view, that is Sanatan point of view we should talk about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful session and also taking the questions.
One more.
Mr. Karthik Chandrasekhar is here. He wants to ask a question.
Please.
Other temples are there. I want to other temples are there. I want to go temple and it is also what is the activity aspect of because Chennai most temples are active because I always wanted to go temples, but most temples are active. I have temples active. How is that? Temple.
Do I repeat the question? So he's asking about how the temples could be made accessible and mostly like very popular. In terms of accessibility, how is Ayodhya temple and other popular temples where he wishes to actually travel but then couldn't access them because he hasn't found it accessible. So, and what are the measures and how are we going about it is his question. Thanks.
Have you tried visiting Kashi Vishwanath temple? If you try now, the new corridor that is built, it is accessible to each and every person, and the corridor is made in such a way that whether person coming from any caste or community or Divyang or anybody, there is accessibility possible while rejuvenating this entire temple architecture. All those things have kept in mind. When you are reconstructing or rebuilding something, this is possible. For old temples, we will have to work out a different kind of mechanism where society needs to be more sensitive. The temple management needs to be more sensitive. And over the period of time, I think most of the policies are going in those directions. But you are absolutely, your concern is absolutely right. We need to sensitize people more, even community organizations more on those lines.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking up these questions. May I request Mr. Shyam Sundar to please come to the dais to honor their guests. That was really very, very nice, taking us through the life of Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, the journalism part of it, and how do we come back or bring back the nationalistic views in journalism. Thank you so much, sir. And now we are moving on to our next session, the discussion on Indian entrepreneurship, moderated by Tinku. I request Tinku to come onto the dais along with the speakers for the session. Namala bore adicha or chai adipom. Shala kaalilendu kekkuren enak thalavadikudhu or chai adikkanonu kedikala. Ana inga orthar bore adicha chai sutta bar is a unit that he has created, and the guest of the evening here is Anubhav Dubey, who is the founder CEO of Chai Sutta Bar. Ambi Murthy, please join us on the dais. And yet another young startup CEO, founder of Gozen, a SaaS platform, Ambi Murthy, two young gentlemen who thought out of the box and has come up with an entrepreneurial venture. And we have Mr. Tinku Venkatesh here, who is going to talk to both of them and bring us new views about entrepreneurship. Please be seated.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Can the guys in the behind who are taking selfie and the other folks, can you guys come front? The selfie guys, people who are sitting at the end, can you guys come front, please? உங்களை தான்ப்பா முன்னாடி வாங்க. Okay, good evening, guys. We have two Indian entrepreneurs with us. One is Anubhav Dubey, another one is Ambi Murthy. Anubhav is a founder of Chai Sutta Bar, and he's anchored his business based out of Indore. Ambi has traveled across the country, and he has his own firm called Gozen. Both wants to do their entrepreneurial venture from the place they are from, and they want to give an opportunity to people around the place where they are from, and they want to grow that home location. That is one of the core values what they have. I would like to quote a beautiful song of Bharatiyar. பாரத தேசம் என்று பெயர் சொல்லுவோம் மிடி பயங்கொள்ளுவார் துகை பகையல்வார். And there is one place where he says, ஆயுதம் செய்வோம் நல்ல காகிதம் செய்வோம், ஆலைகள் வைப்போம் கல்வி சாலைகள் வைப்போம், ஓய்தல் செய்வோம் சாயுதல் செய்வோம், உண்மைகள் சொல்வோம் வன்மைகள் செய்வோம், குடைகள் செய்வோம் உளுப்படைகள் செய்வோம், கோணிகள் செய்வோம் இரும்பாணிகள் செய்வோம், நடையும் புறமோர் வண்டிகள் செய்யும், ஞாலம் நடுங்க வரும் கப்பல்கள் செய்வோம், மந்திரம் கற்போம் வினை தந்திரம் கற்போம், வானையளவும் போல் கடல் மீனை அளப்போம், சந்திர மண்டலத்தில் கண்டு தோழ்வோம், சந்தி தெருப்பெருக்கும் சாத்திரம் கற்போம், காவியம் செய்வோம் நல்ல காடு வளர்ப்போம், கலை வளர்ப்போம் செல்லொருளை வளர்ப்போம், ஓவியம் செய்வோம் நல்ல ஊசிகள் செய்வோம், உலகத் தொழில் அனைத்து முவந்து செய்வோம். So this is one of the songs of Bharatiyar that talks how he envisages that people from India do various things inside the country. So Anubhav and Ambi are such living examples, and we're going to have a very enlightening discussions of their journey. Let me go to the place. Thanks to the chair, Srini. Okay, so let's start with Anubhav. Anubhav, would you like to take us through your business idea? How did you develop it, and how did you take it forward from a business idea? Just the business idea, then there are some other elements, then we'll go down.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. Welcome everyone. We sell chai and chai franchisee, so there was nothing new in it. The new was to sell it uniquely. So we saw that there is a huge demand in the market of chai. We then knew the fact, the data, that it is the highest consumable beverages on planet after water. But we knew that, we have saw it from our eyes, that it is easily sellable. You can see the tea stalls near the roadside. So as a student, we knew whatever the capital we had, because my father knew that I was about to start a business. He was very much focused that my son has to clear the UPSC exam and has to become an IAS officer. So, because I got fortunately 96% in 8th class, and after 8, when he sent me to the boys' hostel, I got 43%. So he thought, let's send him to the coaching. So I tried clearing the CA examination, then after that CPT for the IIM, then after that I failed these two. My father suddenly realized that it was an old dream to clear the UPSC, so he sent me for the preparing of the UPSC examination. So I saw there that people, after the coaching, they just rushed towards our chai shop. So we realized that it's a huge market. And as far as the RTG is concerned, RTG students, so we sell them chai for 10 rupees, starting from 10 rupees. So, and the second business model we have is self-franchising. So initially, my partner said, why not to take a franchisee of a big company, maybe McDonald's, Domino's, Starbucks, all these companies are West dominated. So I said, why to take the franchisee, let's create our own franchisee. All these brands are West dominated, why not to sell these franchises to Goras now? So fortunately, with the God grace, with the help of our customers and the clients, we are able to crack that, and we are selling it to the Dubai. We have already sold it in Dubai, Muscat, Nepal, and we have recently incorporated company in UK, US and Canada. We have sold out almost all Canada franchises. So this is what we do.
Thanks, Anand. So, Ambi, little bit about how your entrepreneurial journey started and where were you earlier and what are you doing now?
Namaskaram. So, thank you everyone. So, how we started was, so I used to work for this company called Zoho. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here would be aware of this company called Zoho. So while I was recruiting for a position UI and UX, so it's a very niche skill of designing for a software. So I actually happened to interview someone, and then I actually got to know he's from a very small city somewhere, even further down from Madurai. And then he was actually working for a company somewhere here in the vicinity, and he was making around like 6,500 rupees a month. So this was like a huge moment for me where I realized that there is talent everywhere, but opportunity is not. So then from that moment, then slowly a lot of things, that was just like a spark. And then after that, I had that moment. After that, 14 months later, I actually decided, okay, now is a good time to start a cutting edge technology company. What it does is, so are there any, so I'm sure there are a lot of entrepreneurs in the room, and then every time they launch a business, the first thing they have to do is buy a lot of ads for reach. So if there is a very contrarian take, and then if you don't have to buy ads, but still grow at a steady pace, then you can use Gozen's tool. So it's about content marketing and all that. So now to build this software, usually people will say you have to go to Bangalore, stay here in Chennai, or go all the way to Silicon Valley. And then what we decided was, so I have a co-founder called Rahul. So, so both of us decided that let's move to where our roots is, and then we'll not raise any outside funding. So whatever revenue that we have made, so we've been in existence only for 14 months. We are not a big company, we're a very, very small company. We less than 40 people work there. So in the but what we have done is, in the last 14 months, we have created value which is more than $500,000 in sales, and then we sell to 37 different countries, all from Coimbatore. We do it from Coimbatore. We don't, and 90% of all our staff are from small cities, small villages, and then you'll be very, very surprised. There is so much exciting talent. And then now, after we announced, we see people moving from very high-paying jobs, places like Singapore, from the US. Now they are coming to Coimbatore, and then, so the only way you can do reverse urbanization is also through capitalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. So, okay, so I'm in my final year in IIM Lucknow. So after I finish my course, I think I can either join Anubhav or I can join Ambi. I have a job opportunity right away. Okay.
You put both of us in a spot.
Yeah. So there are a lot of other youngsters who would like to, be in their hometown, still contribute towards, a big IT firm or a small level, or they would like to inspire from you and do something on this. The core is to, Anubhav is, anchored in Indore, if I'm not wrong, right? You're anchored in Indore. So he does not want to move out of Indore. Abhi unka Shivaji ka flight hai. So he's, immediately after this, he's gonna go back to Indore. So both of them, the unique proportion what they have is they want to be with their roots and want to do everything from their home. So it's a very good inspiration what he says, and the poem which I quote from Bharati says, Indians, let's do all of this, and you two are such Indians on the stage. So tell us the initial challenge what you have, any entrepreneurial journey you take, the first challenge what you have is finance. Managing finance is a very crucial thing in any entrepreneurial venture, or if you're at a level where you get to see it and make it profitable, break even and then profitable. So what was your challenge in terms of financial management?
So obviously finance is one of the biggest challenge what every startup faces. So my challenge was finance come family challenge, because I didn't told my family about it. So I didn't have money. So but bachpan ka dost had good money, so he invested 3 lakh rupees. So. But in a bootstrap company, you don't need to learn the finance very much. The reason being, because if you're bootstrap, you have to save money. Otherwise, you're gone. So, my mom used to say when I was very small, I used to spend money. So he said, she used to say, this is your father's money, that's why you're spending. Whenever you're going to earn, you will realize how difficult it is to spend this money. So it is really difficult. It's very difficult. We bootstrap startups saves money everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, I maybe valued 150 crore company. Still, I use the second-hand car, second-hand Swift car. Reason being, we learned from the journey that you have to save money, and you have to be profitable. Otherwise, nobody is going to come. And if you're taking the funding, your management power, your vision might dilute. So yes, and gradually we learn the finance also with the help of the CAs, with the help of the experts, with the help of the the seniors, those who are doing well in the ecosystem. So as the startup, initially you have to save and invest money wisely to survive. That is the survival instinct of every startup, every bootstrap startup, I think.
Thank you. So in a way, I consider you richer because you're driving a second-hand Swift. I'm still using my college bike, so it's fine. So, yeah. So, see, whenever we talk about like financial models in startups and all that, right? These are all very interesting things. So the moment you say startup, they say, okay, what is your cash flow? What is your CAC to LTV ratio? The problem is all these things kind of like go ahead and then make startup and entrepreneurship very complex. So one thing what Anubhav keeps saying, and I really like it, is like just do it, man. Like don't think too much. Just do it, and then you'll see how things go from there. So, and another thing is they talk about Silicon Valley models, and then they'll talk about the Princeton model of cash flow, and there is also the Harvard, Stanford model of cash flow. But nobody talks about our Amma model of cash flow, which is... So I learned today, right? So we have been in, Gozen as a company has been in existence for like 14 months, not more than that. So, and whatever startup finance lessons that I have implemented, I have learned it from my mother. Okay, so she taught me the first and foremost thing, right? So what we have done is, we are very early, we have decided that we'll take zero venture funding. So completely bootstrap, and what we value is the freedom of what we want to work on, who we want to work with, and at what pace. We value freedom than anything else. So that actually came from my mother. So very early she used to say, the moment you own money to somebody, that person also owns your mind. So don't do it. So we're not taking any external funding. So we are growing, but at the same time it's fully bootstrapped and all that. So what we do is we try to be very frugal. We spend at the right places. You point out any funded startup and then say this company is giving birth, let's say like fancy laptop, or like let's say free food on campus, snacks on campus, cabs and everything. Goes and does every single one of it. But what we do is we do not spend the money that we did not earn. Okay, that's what we do. Yes. So that is our simple finance principle that I would say.
I'm coming there. I'm coming to people. So the business idea, the finance usually people challenge what they have in doing it. Then coming, towards having like-minded people who will believe in your idea, who will put their heart and soul towards it and work towards it. And I think Anubhav should have, you have around 400 plus franchises across the country. I think Ambi has serves his product in 35 plus, 37 plus countries. His model is over 37 countries. His tool is used in 37 countries. Ambi has around 400 plus franchises across the country, and of course he said some other countries also. How was your journey at the initial phase in attracting like-minded people to work towards the idea what you had, which you believe this will work, this can make a larger impact, and from there going to the next level, one in terms of partners, two in terms of employees. Since you're a bootstrap firm, you would have had hiccups in paying salary or having now it's a fashion statement to have a Mac in your hand. There are companies that gives Mac. The moment you join, they give you a Mac or an iPad or iPhone, latest iPhone, and you get to refresh it every 2 years. And the expectation of the current Zoomers, I would call them Zoomers, including myself, is very high when they join a firm. So how did you manage the people component, the team component, when you started growing?
Okay, that's an interesting question. See, I operate under a very fundamental philosophy that you only attract the people that you already are. So you cannot create anything new or fake it until you make it. Silicon Valley has this thing, right? So they say fake it until you make it, right? Don't do it at all. It's toxic. So see, the biggest problem here with any startup is like you asked, right? The moment they say we need, let's say, goes and does a lot of AI work, artificial intelligence work. In fact, you'll be very surprised. One of our products, Content.ai, so it launched in the US 9 days ago. We already have about 500 plus paying customers, not users, paying customers, right? So the idea here is very simple. We keep looking for talent in the cities, okay? And then there are so many people who are curious, they're hungry for opportunity. As a founder, you need to move your life to the place. Understand what is his life, what is his politics, what are his aspirations. For a person here, buying a MacBook, buying a car might be an aspiration, but for him, making his mother happy, making his father happy, seeing them live a respectful life, probably could be the biggest aspiration for him. So then you have to actually go to such places, and then understand even recruiting itself is very, very different. So for all the product and value that we have done, our highest experience at Gozen is 3 years. So that's the highest experience we have. So, but the average age group is around 23 to 24. So all of them come from villages. So what we did was we started going to colleges that are in villages, and then we took the top people from there. And you'll be very surprised, there are in every college, there are at least 2 really good, extremely really good programmers. But as a founder, do we have the patience to go and seek them out? So that's the thing. It's painful initially. Then once we get to critical mass, like 20 people, 25 people, and this guy says, okay, I have a friend who's very, very good. Can I refer him inside the company? And then it spreads very, very easily. And you'll be very surprised. Getting to 100 people is the difficult thing. And each one, like in product, they say viral quotient, right? For every one user you add, how many new users can you add, right? Purely, it's math from there. So, culture is very fundamental. You keep the culture very vibrant. You keep the founders has to be very rooted in their culture. So, and put people first everywhere. And the initial 10 people you have to seek from villages and tier 2 cities. The magic will happen. It's happening for us. Thank you.
So in our case, all the ground staff, those who are working in Chai-Sutta-Bar, mostly are orphan, disabled, or very economically poor. There are only 3 sections we employ for. It's around 2,500 people, out of which thousands are orphan. So the first employee which we had is Mr. Manoj. He's orphan. So what he used to do is, initially he was in the job. He used to do job for a dentist where he used to, swipe and wipe, and he used to jot down the numbers in the name of the patients. So we called him, come and work along. So, but we were not able to pay him salary for the first 2 months. So we said, we promised him. So one thing is very important, that is vision alignment. That what we are going to do, it has to be very clear from the very beginning. So we made that show that we are going to be the world's biggest Kulhar chai franchisee, and which we are probably right now because we are selling around 6 lakh Kulhar chai in a single day. And coming back to the point about the human resource, so we made a promise that we will not make our home unless you make it. So now he owns a home in Indore. So, so giving the testimony of what you promised to the other employees is very important. Otherwise, because the retention is very volatile nowadays, because people switch like anything. So we have given them the vision, we have showcased them the profit in terms of monetary and in the terms of respect what you're going to get if you work in an organization. There is one more incident happened with me during COVID time. So there is one guy in our upper management. He's my cousin's best friend. So he was like my brother to me. So what happened? At the COVID time, we decided we are going to pay salary to all these people, those who are working in the lower strata. Because if we are not going to give them salary, how they are going to survive? So we started cutting salary from the upper strata. So he used to fall in the upper strata. So what he did, he merged with few people in the office.
दुनिया में ये टॉर्चर बैंड है, लेकिन ना विक्रम को बैंड चीजें बहुत पसंद है।
हर बात की एक हद होती है, तूने वो पार कर दी।
कभी कभी ज्यादा बोलना सेहत के लिए हानिकारक होता है।
कब तक भागते रहोगे विक्रम?
Amazon शॉपिंग ऐप के अंदर मिनी टीवी का बटन दबाइए और देखिए मेरी नई सीरीज हंटर।
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Sanjay Gupta. I welcome you on Sanjay Gupta Tech School. So you can see today I am doing day 37 of this Salesforce Learning Bootcamp, and today we will be completing collection data type. So we will be discussing about map in Apex. So in previous two sessions we discussed about list and set. So let's discuss how we can implement map as a data type in Apex. And I hope you have already gone through the practice exercise of list and set, and you understood them very well. Still, if you are having any issue or doubt, so you can reach out to me on Telegram group, or you can ask your doubts in the comments of YouTube. So once again, I welcome everybody. So I'm just waiting for a couple of more minutes so that more folks can join, and then we'll be starting. So hi and welcome to everyone. Okay, so I can see numbers are increasing, more than 50 folks are live. So I'm very happy, and um, it gives me lots of energy to do live sessions frequently every week, so that I can just give and share my knowledge, and can connect with a beautiful community. And today I just shared a PDF in the Telegram group. So if you are not part of that Telegram group, then just join that. So there you will find a PDF which will be having LWC related questions and answers. So if you are going for an interview where you want to prepare yourself for LWC interview, so in that Telegram channel you can find. So if you need the link, so I can just share it with you. So I'm just going to share the link with you. So I'm just pasting the link in the chat. So if you want, you can just join this Telegram group. So actually you need to subscribe. So in this group, only I can send the messages. So if you subscribe this Telegram group, so you will be having all the messages available that I sent till now. So it is just clean group where I'm only sending the notifications. Okay, so moving forward, if you have joined this session today only and you don't know about me, so this slide will help you to know about me. So I have total 16 plus years of experience, and whatever I have done so far, so everything is listed on this slide. And we are following this virtual learning best practices. So I can see Telegram group, everybody, those who are doing practice, they're asking questions, they're answering questions to other folks. And I'm very happy, like I'm able to build a community where I think 1500 numbers we are going to hit soon. So it is having more than 1300 members in that Telegram group, and I just started that in last month. So I'm very happy, like in very less time I am able to add lots of folks there. And as I told you, soon we will be starting boot camp on cybersecurity. So a separate Telegram group will be created for that, so that Salesforce will be separate and cybersecurity will be separate. And in Salesforce also, cybersecurity is a job profile.